Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is the case of a missing 13-year-old boy who went missing quite a while ago now and nobody has any idea what happened to him, sadly. It is the case of Ricky Thomas Jr. and he went missing in the 90s, like I said, a while ago now. Nobody has any idea what happened to him. Obviously there's theories in it, but that's all they are basically, because nobody knows. Let's jump in. Ricky Thomas Jr. was born on the 21st of December in 1983 to his mother Tina and his father, who was Ricky Thomas Sr. Now, at some point, you know, I'm not entirely sure because I couldn't find the information. They did end up splitting up, and then Ricky would end up living with his mother and also would gain a stepfather who was called John. And he would live with them in Bristow in Indiana. He was 13 years old at the time of, you know, this case occurring. But he'd also had some behavioural troubles. He'd had some issues with school. A few weeks prior, I think it was a few weeks prior anyway, he'd actually been expelled from school. So that meant that his mum, Tina, would have to try and homeschool him. I'm not sure what went on, but it just said behavioural issues, so who knows. Apparently, his relationship with John around that time also was strained too, probably because of the issues that, you know, everyone was having, that he was having at school. Now, his parents did work, so that meant he, at the time, would be left in the house on his own a lot. So what he would do is he would actually go around to his cousins, who was called Daisy. So that's just a bit of the background. I couldn't find much on it. Obviously, I would really love to put more information in. However, you know, there just wasn't really very much. Things at home were a little bit tense, which of course they would have been after your child has been expelled from school, of course. Like I say, I don't know the reasons behind it, but now we're going to jump forward to the day in question. It's the 6th of November in 1997. Ricky was home alone because his mother was in work and so was his stepfather. Now, his stepfather did pop home at some point just after 11, I think, and his stepfather would actually be one of the last people to ever see Ricky again. So he did nip home at that point, but basically Ricky had some plans with his cousin. So him and Daisy had already planned out that they were going to go out. They were going to go out to this shopping mall, I think. I'm not entirely sure. And basically he told her that he wanted to go to this McDonald's there, that he had $20 to go and spend on both of them and get their food there. And, you know, they were just going to have a nice day. Now, his cousin didn't actually live very far from where he lived. And so he would often walk and it wouldn't take him that long. So that was their plan. I believe he actually called her to check that that was still the case. And, you know, it was. What they were planning on doing as well is when they got back from this shopping complex, Ricky was just going to stay over at Daisy's house. It was something he did often. Sometimes I did read that sometimes he would stay at her house for months on end. So, you know, I'm not too sure about the background behind that, whether he just really enjoyed his cousin's company over everyone else's, who knows. But yeah, that's what was said. So obviously they were very close and they really got on well. Like I said, he called Daisy, that was between 1 and 2. And once he hung up the phone, he started making his way down there. It was a 1.5 mile route and he was last seen on Oak Ridge by a passerby. That is the last known sighting of Ricky. Let's just say that he never made it to his cousin's house. He vanished. And as Daisy was actually expecting him, later on she rang to see why he never turned up. So I believe Tina answered the phone. She told her that he never turned up and that she was checking on him. And Tina said that he wasn't there either. Initially there was a bit of worry, but it wasn't. They just figured that he'd gone out somewhere else and that he would be back at some point. And they waited a day to actually report him as missing. So when he didn't come home that night, and he still wasn't there in the morning, that's when they reported him missing. I believe that Daisy did think along the lines that maybe Ricky had just left home She knew him a lot better, like was very close to him and knew him really well. And she genuinely believed that he had just run away from home. However, the only problem with that is this is when the police go in and start looking around. Saying that initially is not a good idea anyway, because obviously that then puts a halter on them properly looking into the case thoroughly, as if this was maybe foul play. They don't look at it like that, so they think, oh, he's just gone missing, he'll turn up, he'll come back, he's run away, sort of thing. So it's not really a good way to go about it, but obviously that is what happened. So anyway, they go and look around the house and things, and they find that he took 2 backpacks. They were missing, but important things that you would genuinely take if you were running away were still left in the house. But for starters, the $20 that he was supposed to take was still in his wallet in the house. So that confused me totally, because he was wanting to go to McDonald's. So why did he leave that? Even if he didn't unless he forgot, genuinely forgot, that could be it. But what reason would you leave that money behind if pretty much your entire plan was to go and enjoy McDonald's with your cousin? I don't know. Anyway, that was still there. There was lots of other things that was still there that you definitely would have taken with you if you were running away, for example. And there was a very strange aspect of the case as well, is that they had two 13-week-old puppies in their house at the time. They were also missing. So his parents were adamant that John would not have took out these really young puppies to go and take them to his cousin's house. He just wouldn't have done it. So what on earth happened to these puppies? They were missing, John was missing, and nobody knows. As I already said, his cousin believes that he did run away and that he would eventually turn back up when he was older. I believe he should be 40-ish now. If he was still alive, still not ever turned up to see anybody or let anybody know that he was alive. Something strange did happen in the case though. His mother actually gets this phone call from this person that she doesn't recognize, and they say that they have proof that he is still alive, that they have to go to this location and they will find it. So she goes there with the police, and she finds this snow globe that was Ricky's, and that genuinely gives her hope that her son is alive out there somewhere. But then it didn't take long for John, remember John's stepdad, to actually admit that he did it. He set all this up, he planted the snow globe there, he used like a voice changer thing so that Tina would not recognize his voice, and he rang her. I have no idea in the slightest why anyone would ever do that, because you're giving her hope that, okay, maybe that is a good thing that he's still alive out there, but you're also giving the police like an inkling that he just ran away, and then they don't have to look into it anymore because he's alive out there and nothing happened to him, when in fact foul play could have seriously happened to him, and yet they're thinking that he's still alive because of the snow globe. But anyway, he did admit to that, said that he did it. I believe there's a lot of suspicion around John. For example, he was the last person to see him alive, I've already told you that, but they had a strained relationship. When everyone were out searching for him, he didn't go to look, which I find very strange. If he really loved, Ricky, why would he not be out searching for him? I don't really understand that. He made the phone call, which could have easily diverted the police and everyone into thinking that, he just ran away, which he may have done, but he also may not have. There was also a strange thing that the day after Ricky went missing, John rang in work and said that he had to go and meet his sister up for something, so he wasn't going to come in. Turns out, yeah, he didn't meet his sister up for anything. Nobody knows what he actually did that day, but apparently it wasn't go and see his sister, which was the day after Ricky had gone missing. So obviously nobody knows whether John was involved or not. Some of the things that he did or didn't do, pretty strange. So this is why a lot of people do think that John had some sort of involvement in it. Oh, as well, after the snow globe thing, I didn't actually mention, Tina divorced him after that, because what a shitty thing to do. It's horrible for anyone to do that about their missing child, like seriously. So yeah, they were no longer together after that stunt, and who could blame her? Now, I do know that in 2015 that the police were doing dives, like water dives, in a place called Newton Lake. I believe it's with regards to Ricky's case, but I'm not entirely sure. Nothing was released on the result of that. Like, I guess they found nothing, because surely they would have released something. So yeah, that's basically it. Ricky went missing in 97. He was 13 years old. Age progressions have been done of him, how old he would have been like after years later, but nobody knows what happened to him. There was that last sighting of seeing him on that road, which would have been on his way to go and get to Daisy's, but he never made it. His dogs were missing, his stuff was at home. Just very, very strange case to me. I genuinely hope that one day we find out what happened to Ricky. You know, I hope that he's still alive out there somewhere. Can't do my words. Out there somewhere, and that, you know, if he did run away, obviously it's sad for his family and friends and people that knew him, but at least he's still okay and out there. So that's what you always hope for, but I would have hoped that he would have actually contacted someone to let him know that he was alive still. Because the Wondering's got to be a killer, really has. And if there was foul play involved, which I do believe the police were then running off, they did start believing that foul play may have been involved in this case. That whoever did this to Ricky, that will get done for it, and he will get the justice he deserves. Maybe they will eventually find his body and can finally lay it all to rest. But yeah, that is the end of this case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of Ricky Thomas Jr. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.